So, the endgame has begun with episode 11 of Star Trek Discovery Season 3, Sukal. Rick here, and there will be spoilers following. First up, this is a pretty difficult one to judge by its own, as it is very much not a standalone episode. We get half an answer to the cause of the burn, half a confrontation with Osira, and I'm honestly impatient to find out more. Starting off with the discovery of the dilithium planet within the Verubin Nebula. We're shown in no uncertain terms that the radiation of the nebula is an incredibly dangerous hazard, coupled with some nasty turbulence akin to sailing into a storm. I do like it when science fiction compares space travel to ancient seafaring, and this nebula certainly feels like a haunted island surrounded by a shipwrecking storm. Saru very much pushes the ship and safety of the crew into dangerous levels with his pursuit of the Kelpian scout ship, and this is present throughout the episode. He makes the choice to beam down in person and leave Tilly in command, which prompts questioning glances all round, but we'll get to Tilly later. Saru at least has the foresight to keep Starfleet in the loop about the developments and raises his desire to protect Kaminar, but he can't just now. While Starfleet covers his people, he has to cover Starfleet with the investigation. Saru has long since resigned himself to never seeing Kaminar again, being unable to return in the 23rd century, so his indulgence in Kelpian culture, even in dire holographic form, was sweet to see. It was also fun to see Doug Jones play a human Saru for a change, when the away team is overlaid with holographic alternatives, although he does mention how he feels like his heels are touching the ground, so presumably this 32nd century hologrid is even adjusting for the sensation of being in a different form. They could not access their equipment either. I noticed how even as a human he was swinging his arms behind him as he moved, as he does anyway. It must have been a relief to have a shortened time in the makeup chair too for Mr. Jones. They do specify that they must be within the ship's own holodeck, otherwise the surface radiation would have killed them, but I do wonder how much that technology has evolved. With the advent of programmable matter, is it all still an illusion at this point? I'm going to assume the blend of scenery is from different programs left running and in combination. Clearly none of it is operating as it should be, with the multiple educational programs and stories all overlapping and suffering from years of decay. I'm going to also assume the safeties are long gone. The whole setup reminds me of the TNG episode Future Imperfect, where Riker enters into a simulation created by a long-deceased mother to entertain her stranded child. That had a happy ending at least. This one I'm not so sure about because I can think of one way to prevent another burn. With Sukal, we're presented with the cause of the burn, but not the how of it just yet. Whatever is special about him, it's theorised to have been the result of strange biological adaptation to the radiation and the amount of dilithium present. We witness him generate a strange burst when under duress, which seems to reach even the discovery outside of the nebula. This burst interferes with the dilithium and causes both vessels to decloak. This is weird, but I'm wondering if the dilithium planet itself is acting as an amplifier of Sukal's shockwave, spinning it out across the entire galaxy. The power required for a single being to create something like the burn by itself would be insane, so hopefully there's more going on. We also see multiple references to a Baul and Kelpian alliance, including images of the two species meeting in peace, burying centuries of deceit between the two. A unified planet is one of the requirements to join the Federation, so I don't know why it didn't occur to me earlier that this must have occurred. It's good to see the inclusion of yet another couple of variations of a Starfleet uniform, as there must have been almost 1,000 permutations during the time skip. We have the ones presumably from 100 years before the burn, and the more colourful ones from the Kelpians joining the UFP. The Kelp monster, recreated from Kelpian tales, was pretty cool, like a boogeyman of Kaminar folklore. The story it was drawn from was specifically mentioned to be about confronting one's fears, and it repeatedly said "see me" to Sukal, so we can see where this is presumably headed. The Elder hologram even mentions that the rescue team will be trapped here until the program completes, which I imagine is when Sukal is made to confront and face the Kelp monster without fear. Again, Much as with the kelp creature, the Kelpians very much would have had to confront their fear of the Baul in order to move forwards in a post-Vaharai culling universe. Overcoming fear by now would be a specialty of theirs. Kolba also gets an active role in the mission, his psychological training and first-hand experiences making him a solid choice, and the time the Mycelial Network is still playing roles even today, with him and Saru remaining planetside to deal with Sukal, and now with added Adira. This leaves Burnham and Book to warn Starfleet of the incoming attack by Osira, although I think they're going to be a little too late. Oh, and Federation ships can cloak now, although I suppose with the dissolution of the neutral zone in the 2380s, followed by the Romulan-Vulcan unification, there was little reason not to allow Starfleet to adopt Romulan cloaking tech. I say Romulan because the alert status for cloaking appears to be green. So, when Tilly was put in command, I actually think it was handled well. She didn't suddenly have a personality shift and become a super experienced and unflustered Picard. She's very much still nervous and uncertain, but she does it anyway. This was a better choice, to have her suppress and overcome her anxieties about her first time in the chair, rather than pretend they didn't exist. Burnham gets to revive her role as mentor to Tilly for a bit here too, something she initially took upon herself back in Season 1 and had little chance in 3189 to fulfill. She offers insight to the first time Georgiou left her in command, and grounds the role of captain with a fun story. Everyone who sits in the big chair has to start somewhere, and the chair itself has a consistent manufacturing defect, let alone the people who sit there. Although I'm still not sold on Osira as a villain. To me, she is just sort of there to be overcome. Her tracking of the Discovery was not especially ingenious. Apparently she can just follow their jump signal. The incoming Starfleet IFF was obviously a ploy, and Tilly evidently had her suspicions, which she should have acted on. And her taking over Discovery was not accomplished through guile, but by simply having the bigger stick. In some ways, this worked in favour when Tilly confronted her, as I enjoyed Tilly's rebuttal of Osira's dialogue, but on the other hand, I still want to actually see what makes Osira dangerous, aside from being a tad ruthless. Here's hoping this coming episode actually gets to show off her dangerous side, and why she is so feared. So, until the second part, there's not too much else to surmise, but right now I'm sort of just waiting to see how it unfolds, because as we barrel towards the resolution, ultimately that's going to shape Season 3 for me. Thanks for checking in with this review, and until the next lore, review, or gameplay video, I've been Rick, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.